Everyone was very sleep deprived. That's normal for a production crew to kind of be overworked and beaten to the ground. It's part of the passion, it's part of the job. I'm Michael Yang, a filmmaker, DP, and cinematographer based in Taiwan. In this video, you'll be joining me as I go through a day executing a corporate video production. Now, before any day-long shoot, you want to make sure you get enough calories in. With hectic production schedules, the times are always changing and you won't necessarily always have time to eat. So on this morning, I chose to have a 900 calorie protein French toast. And I did a final gear check while I was waiting for the producer and the van driver to arrive. This production in particular, we have already been in pre-production. Someone had emailed me through my website 4 months ago. Pretty straightforward shoot. We have 3 cameras, similar visuals to Between Two Ferns. Basically, my job in the crew, we have a crew of 5 people. We have a director flying in from Singapore, me as a camera operator, Kaley, we have Phil, and Savanah. We'll be executing this day-long shoot, be filming interviews in a corporate setting. The shoot was planned to begin at 9 a.m. Knowing how much equipment we had to set up, that we had to do the lighting as well and the audio, I knew that an hour would be sufficient to prepare for this shoot. And I had even gone to the location the day before to set up the wide camera, the Ursa Mini Pro. So I was not stressed out about not having enough time to be on schedule to begin at 9 a.m. However, it was a Friday morning and there was traffic and there was rain, so we arrived a bit late, but we still pulled through. We were on schedule and we began recording at 9 a.m. It was, I don't even remember how many interviews there were. Initially, I was told there would be 5 to 6 interviews, but the rundown was sent to us less than 12 hours before the shoot began. That's just kind of the nature of productions. It's unpredictable. There are going to be problems, little hiccups. You have to be able to problem solve real time, which is part of the reason why I love this work so much, is because it never gets boring. The settings are always changing, the conditions are always changing. It makes for an exciting work experience. Now, the entire crew was very sleep deprived, to say the least. And that's also very typical for crew members, because this day in particular ended up being a 13-hour day for me, including the travel and the waiting and the gear prep and the recording and everything. But luckily, the post-production, I won't be taking care of that. That will be offloaded to the agency. That's typically how I like to work, because I am first and foremost a camera operator. When the budget allows, we will offload the data to a proper post-production team with coloring, editing, sound design, all of those important pieces to make a final film. Now, we did have some downtime during the production. It wasn't 8 hours of recording straight. Each interview, I would say, on average, lasted about 15 minutes, and then we would do retakes accordingly if we needed them. Camera-wise, 3 tripod shots, 0 camera movement. So once we got the frame set up, we just locked off the shots and we just checked the focus, checked the audio while we were running. And same with the lights. The lights we set up in the beginning, we had 3 soft boxes, 2 Forza 300s aimed at the ceiling for double diffusion because they wanted a high-key look. We wanted to minimize the shadows. So we blasted 2 Forza 300s through soft boxes off of the white ceiling for double diffusion to make it extra soft. And we added an extra Forza 60 with a softbox just to kind of fill in any shadows between the 2 talents. And for the backdrop, the director had already done the art direction the night prior, but we still had to mess around with the light tubes to add a little bit of dimension and depth to the image. So we had 2 4-foot-long light tubes. We had to wrestle with them quite a bit to get them situated where we wanted, and we actually had to end up removing one because it wouldn't stay in place. And I'll show you a couple of the frames, how it looked. I definitely would have liked to add more depth to the talent's face, sculpt it with a little bit of negative fill so their face wouldn't be so flat and well lit everywhere. But you can't light every project how you would ideally want to. And the type of image that I prefer is something a little bit more moody. Shadows, as you can see here, I added some negative fill. And if you shoot shadow side, it creates a little bit more depth to the character, and I believe it kind of pulls you in more. Something else I would have changed is having an eye light, a catch light is pretty important. So here I have a pretty big softbox. For these types of jobs, all in all, I think I was very happy with the end result. We were able to film all the talents. The talents were traveling from all around Taiwan. They weren't just people waiting around who had all day to film. A lot of them, they had to travel very far. A lot of them, they filmed for less than 30 minutes and they had to run. So we had to get everything right the first time around. We didn't really have a lot of times for retakes. In other shoots where we will have extra time where they're a paid actor, but this was something else. We were interviewing key entrepreneurs During downtime, I like to take behind the scenes. I had a couple of other cameras. Osmo Action Cam, the original Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, which is an amazing, nostalgic piece of technology which I'll never get rid of. In addition to that, I also had two other Blackmagic cameras on set. We had the Ursa Mini Pro 4.6K, and we had Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro. That was the camera that I was using, along with a 90mm telephoto lens to get close-up shot. The Ursa Mini Pro was on the wide shot, and then we had another Blackmagic 6K. Phil, he was shooting on the Sigma 50-100 for the other close-up shot on the host. Now these videos will be released on YouTube. I'll be keeping an eye out because I'm always curious to see what the post-production team does with the color. We did use a color chart, ease the post-production workflow. If they want to make the three cameras look extremely consistent, they can do that. Like I mentioned, everyone was very sleep deprived. That's normal for a production crew to kind of be overworked and be into the ground. It's part of the passion, it's part of the job. It's something that I enjoy because even though you have those long days, you also have those times of rest and times where you don't have as many shoots, where you can kind of rest and recover, and your mind and your body kind of recover. Those long challenging shoots are fun. And even though this one, we were sitting for most of the day, just making sure that the camera was in focus and all the settings were right. It's definitely one of the more slow-paced and laid-back shoots. Even just getting on set, bringing all the equipment. We were up on a high floor, and getting the equipment, the C-stands and all the lights and all the camera equipment up to the location was not an easy task. Like, we had to make several trips. The security guards actually gave us a lot of problems as well because we were in Taipei 101. They didn't want all of our gear taking up the public space because there's a lobby where you enter the building, and then you have to go through security, and the security was also very tight. There were a lot of challenges that you typically won't encounter in a normal shoot, but then it was also more laid back. It was just one location. We didn't have to worry about camera movement. The focus was fairly straightforward because the talents were seated. Having this shoot, I'm very thankful that someone reached out to me, that a company and agency reached out to me on my website. And because of that, we were able to execute this job as a 5-person crew. Even though this isn't my ideal type of shoot, it still reminds me that I love this type of work and that I will continue working with cameras for the unforeseeable future. I love carrying around the equipment. I love using the equipment. I love being on a set. I love building the set. I love playing with lights, with lenses, and working as a team. There's always going to be new challenges and barriers, so it's always going to be fresh and it's always going to feel rewarding. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Typically, I don't do these types of shoots. Usually I'm more run and gun, carrying the camera, running around, and I love those types of physical jobs, but whenever I can rent out my equipment, my lights, it's always a good feeling as well to utilize all my equipment, because over these past 10 years of working as a freelance filmmaker, I definitely acquired a lot of equipment. You don't always get to use every equipment for every job. You have to pick the right tool for the right job. But in this situation, we were able to use quite a bit of my gear, actually used 3 of my Blackmagic cinema cameras. Yeah, that was awesome. I'll be uploading more videos on this channel around filmmaking. If you want to keep up to date on the state of the filmmaking industry in Taiwan, feel free to subscribe. And yeah, thanks for watching.